Hello everybody, it's Starcraft here, and welcome back for another episode of This Week in Star Wars Canon. If you are looking for the latest on the comics, the novels, the TV series, the video games, and more, then you're already in the right place. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button, as well as subscribe to the channel, as it helps me tremendously, and I really much appreciate it. So getting into it, this week we have 3 new comics I want to talk about, and as always, I do spoil them, so if you plan on reading these, you might want to come back to this video after you read them. So the first comic that we have for this week is Star Wars DJ Most Wanted #1. This is a one-shot, which pretty much means it's a self-contained story. There's only one issue, and this one tells us how DJ got arrested, how he was in that jail cell when Rose and Finn found him. So this is telling us about, he's getting in trouble with these different kind of casinos on Canatonica, specifically in Canto Bight, that is the casino city. So he's getting involved with these different hotels and all this kind of crazy stuff. He's making deals with certain people and then backfiring on him, and he's making deals with other people, and there's car chases involved. And it's a pretty interesting story. So getting into the things that I liked about this comic, well, I did enjoy how it butts up right against The Last Jedi. So if you want to know what the heck he's doing in that jail cell, then you get your answer in this one. I also really enjoyed the artwork. It's actually drawn by Kev Walker, who has done a lot for Star Wars. He has done a lot of the Dr. Aphra issues, so very nice cartoony kind of imagery, but it goes so well with DJ. It captures his essence of, Benicio del Toro, who plays the character in The Last Jedi, and it's really great with the casino because he's able to kind of illustrate these floating cards. You see DJ gambling quite a bit, so it's pretty interesting there. Another thing that I liked about this is as far as Ben Blacker and Acker, who do the writing, I think they do a great job of actually writing the character of DJ. They're giving him those little things of him stuttering, which is, just perfect for the character. I love that about him in The Last Jedi. It just makes him his own kind of person. Another thing I really enjoyed is how much he feels as far as his decision making and everything. It goes right into what we see his character from The Last Jedi. Something that was interesting, and I don't know if it's absolutely true, but there's these Rodians that he crosses. A specific Rodian, his name is Croup. Now, it looks very similar to a character from one of the Dr. Aphra arcs, so I don't know. Maybe you guys can confirm that. I haven't seen anything on Wikipedia about it, maybe because it's just so new, but it definitely looks like the same Rodian who has a scar. Okay, so the thing that holds me back from really enjoying this issue is just that we don't get anything about DJ that's substantial about his history. I'm still that crazy guy out there on the internet that still thinks that Ezra could become DJ. And, I don't want to get into that in this video, but maybe that's why they're just not telling us a lot about him, is they just have this whole plan for him after that they don't want in a comic. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is Dr. Aphra. This is issue number 16, and we are in part 3 of the remastered arc. So last we left off, we have 000, who has blackmailed Dr. Aphra, and basically is making her do his bidding. He wants her to go find his special piece of technology, so she has this assembled ragtag group of mercenaries, and they go to this planet, which actually happens to be Wat Tambor's planet from the Clone Wars, from the Separatists. They go there, and they're not there for too long before Dr. Aphra's kind of upcoming nemesis, Tolvin, shows up, right? So she really screwed Tolvin over with getting her demoted in the last issue and all this stuff. So Tolvin's got a very big grudge, knows who Dr. Aphra is coming down to get her revenge. So we get these two characters mixed up who have had some kind of attachment before, kind of in the periphery of things, and well, they finally get to it. They have a kiss, all this tension. They just have to have this one romantic moment as there's this huge mechanical monster that's just terrorizing everybody, that's ancient. And what happens is eventually they do end up destroying this place, and they do end up getting this information for 000, and it ends up being like his history. It turns out that he has these memories that now Dr. Aphra, he is telling her to go get more of these memories of his former self, because he's been around for about 100 years. And that is basically the issue in a nutshell. What happens is Aphra and Tolvin, they kind of agree that they should separate before either of them dies, and they kind of get out, and everybody pretty much gets out safely except maybe one or two characters in this one. So getting into the specific things that I liked about Dr. Aphra, issue number 16. Well, first off, this issue, this entire series feels so much far removed from Star Wars, but it feels so much like Star Wars. I mean, you compare this to something like Charles Soule current run of Darth Vader, and they are the complete opposite. I mean, this thing is so funny, it's so humorous, it's got that Han Solo kind of vibe, that Guardians of the Galaxy kind of vibe, but yet it's still very mature. Like, for instance, there is like exploding Tuca cats, there is a droideka that pretty much sings, and somebody uses another alien's pelt as like a disguise. So you are in for quite an adventure just from me telling you that kind of things in this specific issue. So again, it's something that I didn't expect, is that kiss between Tolvin and Aphra. We know there's been tension going on this whole time, and to see them have that moment in the middle of an absolute crisis was just something unexpected. But it was like, okay, this current arc is going in, this whole series is going in this direction that I didn't see it going in. I love Dr. Aphra the series because these characters are pretty much 100% made up for the comics, right? So we don't know what's going to happen to these characters. I mean, this is in between A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back. So it's got this great feeling of risk because at any given moment, you don't know what could happen to these characters. And lately, I've been starting to get attached to Tolvin, and I've always been a fan of Dr. Aphra, so I don't know if one of them is eventually going to die and be this tragic event. We shall see. Another character that had a moment to shine is none other than Tam Posla. So this character probably means nothing to you. He is a deep cut character. He was found in the Rogue One visual dictionary. He was apparently on Jedha, and now he is one of those mercenaries I mentioned that is on this mission for Aphra. And he is this really kind of proper ex-cop guy, and he still has that kind of attitude of a cop. He doesn't believe in killing people without a reason, but one of his compatriots, or one of his companions, the headless dude, he thinks that he might be dead because somebody tells him that, and that's what makes him go into super badass mode. And this guy, I mean, look at that picture. I mean, he's just going absolute ham with his guns and just going berserk, and then he contains himself when he finds out that his companion is actually quite a bit alive, and he makes a fool out of himself. But that's saying a lot about this entire mercenary group. Is they crack me up. I mean, they are basically like the Suicide Squad. Like, they are the worst team members you want to go on a mercenary mission like this. I mean, they don't really all get along, and they all have their own baggage, and they're not all really committed to this mission from what it seems like. But just reading them and their dialogue, they're all just so drastically different. It's a joy to read. It really is. Something else that I really liked seeing is the continued history that this series continues to build up for not just like the immediate future, but like in the past. I mean, there's a mention of 100 years of darkness, and it has something to do with the Sith. So that's what Aphra has been doing great as a series, is really just building up the hype for like, oh, like we have all this really cool references to things that we've never seen in Star Wars lore before, but that brings, again, so much more potential. Maybe they'll bring that kind of stuff up in maybe a TV series or a book or something along those lines down a bit of the ways. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about is the ties to the prequels. So I like hearing about 000 possibly being back, before the Separatists. Wat Tambor acquired his basically AI and thought that he was just too powerful at that time, so he threw him away basically. So I like seeing references to the prequels. Every time I hear them, I love it. I don't know, I just love the prequels. I grew up with them, so hearing anything like that, I really get a kick out of it. So the last thing I want to talk about is IDW's Forces of Destiny, Rose and Paige. So this is the last Forces of Destiny issue. We had one coming out every week in the month of January, so that was really cool because IDW stuck to their plan, and every single week we got a different female character or characters that we focused on. So this is the last one, and maybe next year we'll get something similar down the line. So this one is all about, as you might have guessed it, Rose and Paige. So this is before we see them in The Last Jedi, and Organa basically wants them to explore Dakar, explore if there's any supplies, any resources that they can use to their benefit, because they're starting to run low on supplies. However, they don't have the machinery to possibly go out there and excavate these things, but Rose thinks she can do it. So Rose actually builds these kind of car truck things, and her and her sister go out there in the wild, and they find that next thing you know, Paige ends up like crashing her car, and it's up to Rose to have some courage out there in the wild. She makes some wildlife friends, and they do end up finding Paige, and they do end up finding some very valuable resources for the Resistance, and that is pretty much the story in a nutshell. So getting into some things that I specifically want to talk about. First off, a deep cut. This is a nice connective tissue to the recently released earlier in the month Star Wars Adventures #6. We do see the character again of Laszlo, who is just this, pain in the ass kind of guy, pretty much, who gives everybody a hard time, especially Rose. So you see him here in this one again, and he's still the same character pretty much for the most part. So yeah, that guy is still in there, and he's still a pain in the butt. I do like the message of this issue. So you have Rose, who, she lacks a little bit of courage, a little bit of confidence in the beginning. She doesn't know if she can actually think of this thing to make. And, it ends up becoming the theme of this one is to just believe in yourself and just have faith that if you try and you fail, you can keep trying again and you'll eventually get it. So that's one thing that the Forces of Destiny shorts and the comics do very well, is conveying the message to the younger audience of really good life lessons. And, that's what these are aimed for. And I did like that this mission actually had a purpose. It wasn't just a throwaway mission. Like, you got to know how these people get their supplies on an uncharted planet like the car. So very, very cool stuff there. So next week, you guys can look forward to Star Wars number 43, and we have the long-awaited release, I think at least, of Thrawn #1 coming out next week. That is the adaptation of Timothy Zahn's recently written novel, Thrawn. So what did you guys think of Dr. Aphra #16? Are you a fan of DJ Most Wanted #1? And did you enjoy all of those Forces of Destiny comics, and would you like to see more? Let's talk about all that in that comment section below. Also, if you're new to the channel, welcome. I have your weekly dose of Star Wars content, so if you like this video, make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on any of the future videos that I post. Recently, I've been getting into the Star Wars miniature game called Star Wars Legion. I have a couple videos on the channel right now, so if you're not sure what that is, definitely make sure you go and check those out. I'm Star Raptor. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram @StarRaptor.